For a tour quality golf ball like the Pro V1, we're looking at an average price of around £40. I have one here that comes in cheaper, but will it perform like a Pro V1? Let's find out. I recently ran a poll on Twitter that said, if Pro V1 ceased to exist, what premium golf ball would you switch in? And I was expecting the ball that I have in question today to come out high on the poll, but it actually came in last, and that is the Vice golf ball. TaylorMade was up there, Callaway was up there, in the other comments Srixon was up there, but I was expecting the Vice golf ball to come in quite high, and that is the golf ball that we are going to be testing today. So the Vice Pro golf ball is cheaper than the Pro V1. It comes in at $38.99 per dozen, and actually the average amount of golf balls that a person uses throughout the year is 5 dozen, and if you buy 5 dozen of these golf balls, it lowers the price down to $29.99. As I said, Pro V1s are at the higher point. We're looking at £47 on average for a dozen, and you might be able to get them for about £43 if you were to buy 5 dozen of those, being that average usage for a golfer. Now, I want to see if a ball is coming in that much cheaper, coming in at that £30 price mark, so seeing that it's going to be at least, you know, around about £15 cheaper per dozen, is it still going to perform? Because it is supposedly a tour quality golf ball. They're not sponsoring any pros, so that's the reason why they're able to pump more of their money back into actually the savings that you, the customer, will get. But if it's not performing, is it worth actually sticking with the Pro V1? Today we're going to go through a few different tests. We want to test the feel against the Pro V1. Does it stack up to that? We want to test the durability. Are these balls actually going to last? Because one of the things that the Vice Pro has is one of the thinnest urethane covers on the market. It's a cast urethane cover, but does that mean it's going to rip to shreds? We're also going to test distance, because if I'm dropping a couple of yards, maybe 5-10 yards, and you are a player that is using these tour golf balls, you're probably someone who, you know, values that distance. You want to be down there hitting it closer, hitting it longer. So is it worth switching if they're shorter? I also want to test what they're like with their irons, because one of the things with a tour ball is control. If you are, like I say, a player of this caliber, you want to have ultimate control. You want all the boxes to be ticked. You want durability, you want it to spin and feel good, you want distance, and you want control when you're hitting your irons in. So let's get stuck into this video and see if the Vice Pro is the golf ball that we all should be playing. So first thing we're going to do is test them around the green. How do they feel? How does this Vice feel compared to the Pro V1? I know what this feels like, but how does this compare to it? That is what this is all about today, comparing it directly with this Pro V1 to see if we should change out of it and save ourselves some money. So a little chip and putt around the greens with both golf balls to see a bit of how they're reacting and how they are feeling. Let's get stuck into it. So we've had an initial test now with the Pro V and with the Vice, and feel-wise, very much the same, even when you give them a little bounce on the club like so, whether you're picking that up and then you get the Vice in, they sound pretty much identical and they feel pretty much identical. I would say maybe, just maybe with the Pro V1, I felt like I may have been getting a little bit more spin around the greens. Both of them felt very much the same. It just seemed to have an initial little bit more bite. It is an early morning that we're doing this, and there is a little bit of dew on there, so it's whether it just gets that initial skid, but it just felt a tiny little bit more spinnier, if anything, but it wasn't like drastically noticeable. So overall, from that initial little chip and putt, feel very much identical to the Pro V, sounds very much identical, and a very similar reaction as they're actually chipping around the green. I want to try now with some irons, some mid irons, maybe a 7-iron, just to see how they feel off those, and also what the workability is like with those, and see if they do stack up to that Pro V1. But initial signs, very good. So before we get into some irons and some woods and some durability, a few key facts about the Vice Pro. Now, it is a 3-piece golf ball, very much the same as a Pro V1. It has a urethane cover, but it has a cast urethane cover, which is one of the most expensive to actually manufacture when we're talking golf balls. But because of savings from not sponsoring tour pros, they see, you know, spending that little bit more money on the golf ball, you're getting extra value for less cost. 318 dimple, large dimples, which is meant to help with the aerodynamics for stability when we're seeing iron shots, so you're going to get better control. And then in terms of the core of the golf ball, a high energy core, which is again meant to lead to more distance when we get the driver out. With that cast urethane cover, we're seeing the softness. With the large dimples, we're seeing the control, and then with the high energy core, we're seeing the distance. So it's got all those boxes ticked that you want from a tour level golf ball. One of the other things with them as well, and I want your opinion on this, comment down below and let me know something about this as well. The different colors that they come in. So they have these sort of like splattered colors that they come in. They come in a range of different colors, like a neon, a blue, a red. They also then have like vibrant colors. So you do have an orange one, or sunset, I think it's called, the neon one. There's a lot of options out there, and sort of the traditionalist in me, when I first saw them, was like, oh, that's not a golf ball. But then when I've had the splat coloured ones out, the drip as they're called, I actually didn't mind them. But one of the things that I've heard in passing is that they're quite hard to find if you are hitting them in the rough, certain colours. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of these different colours, and are they tough to find? I think it is good that we're seeing, you know, something a little bit more modern come along from a golf ball. They're not the most exciting things, golf balls, but just doing something a little bit different, it's a positive. But let's get back into the testing, see how the Pro Whites are stacking up. Leave me a comment down below, guys, as well. The Vice golf ball, we do get a lot of comments about them. Are you playing them? What do you think of them? Are they as good as they are saying in the general public, and will I find that by the end of this test? Leave us a comment down below. And as well, if you haven't already, little subscriber button down there in the right hand corner of the screen. Click it, it's free to do. More reviews to help you get better value for money. Pro V1 first, we'll go fade, draw, then low. Go away, fly. Perfect little fade. Standard, you just know what you're getting with a Pro V. I think that's why it's so hard for a lot of people to switch out of them. It's just reliable, it's reliable. Right, little draw, not my shot, but be more of a player. Same 3 shots with the Vice now. I want to see obviously the same flights, but I want to see that the flight is tight. You don't want loads of curvature. If you are, like I say, looking for this ball, you're probably someone who wants to control the flight, so you don't want it moving loads on you. So we'll try and hit sort of identical shots here, little fade, little draw, and the low one. Tiny pull, but it is fading still, and it's 3 or 4 yards, very much like the Pro V1. Oh, that felt mega. Good draw, that one. Bit pushy, but it's low. It's done what I wanted. So again, pretty much identical what I was seeing there with the Vice compared to the Pro V1. I will say it looked like it came out a little bit higher, and it'll be interesting when we get into the driver to see what the launch angle will be with it. And even when I actually played with it for a round of golf, I was seeing pretty much what I would expect. The control that I wanted from the ball was still there, and still that great feel, very much similar to the Pro V1. Now I want to do a bit of a durability test. I think this is one of the areas which is a big must, and definitely the distance is a big must, because when we see some of the tour golf balls that are coming in cheaper, i.e. something like a Kirkland, they do drop off there. So it needs to pass this durability test, and it needs to pass the distance test to see that it would be a better value tour golf ball. Let's go and see how it stacks up in the bunker. Oh! So we've had 10 shots now out of the bunker using the same golf ball, and this is the area which probably gave me the most concern. Because it's got this thinner urethane cover, I was thinking that it would potentially rip to shreds when you're hitting wedges, when you're hitting your irons, and when you're in and around the greens and in and out of the bunkers. There is one big mark on it, and that was because I thinned the life out of it, so caught it right out of the leading edge, and I think any golf ball that would have been subjected to that type of strike would have had the same sort of mark on it. So we can see the abrasion there because of that leading edge mark. But other than that, there is one tiny other little scuff. So overall, 10 balls out of the bunker is a big tick for me. And like I say, that was the part that I was probably worried about the most, because in the past with other balls that we have tested that are in this same category that have come in cheaper, they tend to fall apart. You see massive gash marks out of them, you see big scuffs across them, but the Vice Pro there has stood up to it. So the final piece of the puzzle is all about distance. This is again an area that I have concerns in, because again, when we've had cheaper tour balls, we see that they're maybe 10-15 yards shorter than something like the Pro V1. So we're going to hit some balls out here on the golf course. I just want to do a bit of an eye test, then I'm going to get some data in the studio to back up what we're seeing. So hopefully here, hitting a few balls around the golf course, I'll hopefully see them sort of carrying to where I would normally see them carrying out on the golf course. So we'll give it a go, and then let's see how it stacks up with some data numbers in the studio. Oh, that's a beautiful drive. Okay, it's carried the bunkers, which is what I would expect on 18, and I can see it bounding down. We're sort of into off the left here on 18 today at Warrington. Let's hit one more here and then we'll change holes. That was good. They are two of the best drives I could hit in terms of straightness. And carry wise, again, carried that bunker comfortably. It's rained last night and they're looking like they're going to be about 100 yards shy of the green, which is about right for a driver for me down here. Right, let's hit a couple more. I mean, that was a poor strike and it is up at the 150, which is pretty much spot on for this hole. Let's hit one more. That's out there as well. Definitely hit the two earlier better, but they're, you know, they're down there. They are down there. So that was some data collection there in the studio and some shots out on the golf course. And after hitting some at Warrington and then also playing with the Vice ball as well, from sort of the eyeball test, what I was seeing was that the ball looked to be carrying pretty much where I wanted it to be. It was going the same distances, hitting it to spots where I would normally find myself. Was straighter, obviously changed my driver recently, which I think that's probably more of the reason for that. But yeah, it seemed to be quite a decent flight. After some data collection, some very interesting numbers here. Pro V1, hit 10 times, pretty good strikes. That came out at 160 mile per hour ball speed, 2,342 revs of spin, launched at 16 degrees and had a 285 carry. The Vice Pro ball, 161 mile per hour ball speed, 18 degrees of launch, 2,390 revs of spin and 287 yards in distance. So pips it by 2 yards on the carry. Very close spin numbers, very close launch angles and very close in terms of the ball speeds. So I revert back to my earlier question, is the Vice Pro going to stand up in the categories in terms of performance? We know it's coming in cheaper to that Pro V1, and I have to say yes. Feel, it passed. Iron test, passed. Durability, passed. And then the distance just pips it. So on performance, it totally delivers, and we know it's coming in cheaper. So for me, the Vice Pro, if you are looking at a tour golf ball and you're looking at saving a few quid, this is one that you have to check out. I'm actually going to put this up against another golf ball that I've been playing a lot recently to decide probably which one that I'll play moving forward to the rest of the year. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Why not check out one of our other ball reviews here, and we'll see you in a video very soon.